how to find the area of circles. You have A equals pi r squared, or you can break that down further. It's A equals pi times radius, okay? And we always do order of operations whenever we're doing area of circles with the formula. So we're going to square first, then we multiply. Okay. Now, this first circle here is showing us the radius. And I'm just going to label, just pick a number and label, and I'm going to do 4 feet as my radius. Okay. Now, remember our first step was to, if the figure wasn't drawn, to draw the figure. Next step, we label it, which we just did. And then we find our formula, which is A equals pi r squared, or A equals pi times radius, okay? My next step is plugging in my numbers into my formula. So I'd have A equals 3.14, which is pi, times my radius, which is 4, squared, or I can say it as 3.14 times 4 times 4. And remember that the exponent tells us how many times we multiply this number by itself. Okay? So now, remember, we always square first, then multiply. So 4 squared gives us, which is 4 times 4, gives us 16. So we have 3.14 times 16. But we break it down. Same thing here. All right? And we multiply. When we multiply it out, 4, that will give me 8, 18, add a decimal, excuse me, 0, 3, 4, 1, 3, we add 4, 12, that'll be 10, 2 decimal places. So my area equals 50.24 feet squared. Okay. All right. My next circle here is giving me my diameter, because we know diameter goes all the way across. Okay. And for this diameter, we're going to use 6 feet. Okay. Now, it's giving me my diameter, but in my formula, if you notice when I write down my formula, A equals pi r squared, I need to find what I need my radius. So my radius would be half of this, so r would be 3. Okay, so to be 3.14 times 3 squared, or A equals 3.14 times 3 times 3. Okay, 3 squared gives me 9. Okay, 3.14 times 9, that gives me 36. 6. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 gives me 12. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 gives me 28. 2 decimal places. So my area is 28.26 feet squared. Okay. Now, all I want you to know here is that this is just what pi is. This is pi. Pi is approximately 3.14 or 22 over 7 when we're using the multiple of 7. Okay. All right. So there are 2 examples. Let's go on the inside. And let's look at this scenario here. It says a remodeling project calls for sanding a chair with a disc sander. The sanding disc used on the sander has a radius of 4.5 inches, and the area, find the area of the disc, and we're going to use 3.14 as pi, and that's the radius. All right, so the first thing we do is we label, draw and label, which is already there. Then we find our formula. So A equals pi r squared, or A equals 3.14 times radius times radius. All right, plug it in. 3.14, my radius is 4.5 squared. Okay, so A equals, and we need to figure out what 4.5 squared is. So we go over here, we do 4.5 times 4.5. Okay, that gives me 25, 20, 22. That will give me 20, 16, 17, 18. So it would give me 20.25. Okay, so 3.14 times 20.25. Okay, and I'm going to multiply that out, and I'm going to give you that chance there to do that with your partner. Okay. Okay, next problem, we're going to find the area. We're given, I think this is like a little wheel, the steering wheel on a boat here. And it gives us, here, I'm going to highlight it. It gives us our diameter. It says diameter is 34 inches. Okay, we're trying to find the area. So we know in the area formula, we have A equals pi r squared. We need a radius, but it's giving us the diameter. So in order to find the diameter, the radius, all we have to do is take the diameter and divide it by 2. So my radius equals 17 inches. Okay, so now I can plug that in to my formula. A equals 3.14 times 17 squared. Okay, or I want you to give me another way. You could write that there. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and go here. A equals 3.14 17 squared. You to figure that out for me and then get me an answer. Okay, all right. Moving on to the next one. All right, we have a shape here, and we have the radius is 9. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. First step, draw our figure, which is drawn for us. Second step is to label it, which is already labeled. Third step is to write down my formula. A equals pi r squared, or A equals pi times radius times radius. Okay. Now, next step is plug in my numbers. I'm using 3.14 for pi. So 3.14 times 9 squared. A equals, I want you to fill that part in and also get me an answer. Okay. This last one here, okay, it's telling us that we need to use 22/7 for pi, and it also gives us our diameter. So we need to figure out what our radius is, and we know that the radius is half of the diameter. So 14 divided by 2 will give me 7. So now I have my radius. Now I can plug it into my formula. Okay, A equals pi r squared, or pi times radius times radius. And this time it says to use 22/7 for pi. So I'm going to do 22/7 times whatever my radius is, 7 squared. Okay, so now, right here at this point, we see that it's a multiple of 7, and then we can simplify. So what I want you to do is, I want you to write that next step, which you simplify. Okay? I want you to write it simplify, and I'll write this here. And then I want you to give me an answer. Okay? And remember, whenever you're doing area of circles, you always square first, then multiply. And remember to always put your units, and they're always squared.